Hello everyone, we will now begin the installation of the Wings electronic equipment. First, install the motor mount, motor, and ESC of the machine arm. Use an M2 screwdriver to unscrew the motor mount cover. First, pre-install the motor mount and temporarily tighten one screw, but don't tighten it too much. The motor mount was facing the wrong way earlier, so we rotated it 180. Next, we will install the motor. First, align the holes. Using an M3 screwdriver, first apply a little screwdriver glue to the screw and screw it in. Don't tighten it too much at first. Next, tighten the remaining 3 screws in diagonal order. Finally, tighten the 4 screws one by one. The remaining 3 motor mounts were installed in the same way. Next, we installed the rotor ESC, first randomly, plugging in 3 banana plugs. Use a tester to check the motor rotation direction, and connect the motor wires. Connect the ESC signal line. Power on the system. Check the motor rotation direction. This is the front left motor. It should rotate clockwise. The direction of rotation is incorrect. If we swap any to phase wires of the motor, the direction of rotation will be reversed. The motor is now rotating in the correct direction. Remove the testing instrument. Secure the connectors with electrical tape to prevent them from loosening. Pass the ESC wire through the carbon fiber tube. Remove the terminal block from the opening. Apply thermal pads to the ESC MOSFET. Close the heatsink cover and tighten the screws. Next, install the left rear motor. Insert banana heads in any order. Connect the tester to check the motor rotation sequence. Power on the system. The left rear motor should rotate counterclockwise. This rotation is incorrect. Swapping any to phase wires reverses the motor's direction. I checked the rotation direction again, and this time it's okay. Secure the banana head with electrical tape. Insert the ESC wire into the carbon nanotube. Remove the terminal from the opening. With one push and one pull, the ESC board is installed simultaneously. Apply thermal pads. Cover with the heatsink and tighten the screws. One rotor arm was installed, the other arm was installed, in the same way. Next, install the servo motor. First, use a servo motor tester to center the servo motor rocker arm. Try installing it first to see the effect. Remember to tighten the servo arm with screws. Place the servo. Locate the servo cover and pressure plate. Secure the pressure plate with an M to 10 mm screw. The 2 aileron servos are connected in parallel via a Y-line. Secure with small straps to prevent the joint from loosening. Next, insert the Airspeed line connector into the wing. Insert into rotor signal connector. Insert aileron servo wires for later use. When installing the airspeed meter, leave a 3 cm length of airspeed tube. The upper tube measures dynamic pressure, and the lower tube measures static pressure. Insert it into the corresponding hole in the servo cover, with dynamic pressure at the front and static pressure at the rear. Connect the pitot tube, with dynamic pressure at the front, and static pressure at the rear. Tighten the airspeed gauge with the matching screws. Connect the airspeed indicator cable. Cut a piece of sponge from the airspeed indicator's packaging box and place it on top of the airspeed indicator. Tighten the screws on the servo cover. The screws on the other aileron cover were also tightened. Next, install the ball joint connecting rod. First, adjust the lead screw to the appropriate length. Secure the connecting rod to the rocker arm with screws, making sure to use a lock nut. Tighten the rudder angle screws on as well, but don't tighten them completely, as adjustments will be needed later. The other servo rocker arm is fixed in the same way. Remove the boom fixing parts. Install the smaller one in the back and the larger one in the front. Remove the fixing screws for later use. Connect the front ESC cables into the junction box. The rear ESC cable was also routed into the junction box. Take out the long screw, apply some screw glue, and secure the front arm. The same method is used to fix the rear boom. Finally, tighten the front and rear arms. Install junction box. Empty the cables and lower the power strip. The junction box is secured with 2mm to 8mm screws. The 3-pin header acts as a parallel connector. Note that the pins on the header are for signal input. Connect the front ESC signal line and the single-ended white signal line together in parallel. The servo wires and aileron servo wires of the connector are plugged in parallel. The single-ended black wire and the rear ESC signal wire are connected in parallel. Connect the red wires of the front ESC and the front connector in parallel and twist them together. Twist the black wires of the front ESC and front connector together in parallel. Twist the black wires of the rear ESC and rear connector together in parallel. Twist the red wires of the rear ESC and rear connector together in parallel. Organize the wires and push any excess wires back into the hole. Apply adhesive tape to prevent it from loosening. Tighten the adapter cover with M to 8mm screws. Secure the two connectors tightly with M2 6/8mm screws. Next, we apply a reinforcing membrane to the rotor root to increase the rotor's torsional resistance. First, align one side. Find a flat plastic sheet to scrape the film, increasing adhesion. Make sure the glue is tight at the bends to prevent it from coming off. Use the same method to press the other side firmly. The piece I have isn't the right size. I need to piece it together myself. Reinforce the seams with fiber tape to prevent delamination. Use a sharp knife to neatly trim the edges and seal the edges with fiber adhesive. At this point, the installation of the wings' electronic equipment is complete.